Welcome back to Pittsburgh Sports Now. This is Zachary Weiss here, PSN beat writer, and I'm pleased to be joined by Pitt women's basketball coach Lance White. Lance, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Zach. Thank you so much for having me on and us getting to talk a little hoops action.
Absolutely. It's great to just get a chance to talk about basketball with everything that's going on in the world. Lance, just how are you and your ladies able to just navigate through these uncertain times?
Well, it's obviously been extremely difficult and different than anything that we've ever had to do as a coaching staff and as an administration. And then for the players to try to have to adjust to something that none of us have even thought about or had to go through. And so it has been. It's been, from the spring whenever we sent them home, and then them trying to navigate their own worlds there a little bit and how you continue to go to school and virtually and then whenever we were able to bring them back, and then it's now masked to quarantine to all of these different thoughts and ideas that it's been a really interesting and difficult spring to summer to now into the fall and winter.
When you get everybody back on campus, you obviously were mostly Zoom based before that, but just how was the process getting everybody back on campus, going through all the necessary protocols and escalating up your practices?
Yeah, and for us as a staff, our number one concern was safety. And obviously with a pandemic and things that words that you'd never thought of, and now you're having to live through them. And so that was our number one concern was how do we safely do this, but still give the kids some sense of normality. And once we were able to get back on the court, that's been the one area that has seemed most normal. And so for them and that was something that we thought was really, really important for them and their mental health and their ability to have a little bit of normal. And so getting them back was obviously paramount, but at the same time, it was kids who had no idea first, as we were bringing the freshmen who had this idea of what college was going to be like. And then now you're in an apartment for 2 weeks and, by yourself and in that group. And then our sophomores and those kids, upperclassmen who had an idea of, experience college. And then now you're telling them the same thing. We've got to stay within this bubble as much as possible and try to protect each other. And our kids have done a great job of adjusting, being resilient through this and very, very adaptable.
When you look at things, managing highs and managing lows, whatever they may be, just even winning a day, just
Yeah.
having hopefully a game that's not against yourselves, just how are you telling the girls just to navigate through everything and how everything really is a minute by minute process right now?
Yeah, and our philosophy through all of it was be ready when we're ready. And so then every day is we're trying to get 2% better every day. And that we have no idea, we can't control what the future is going to look like, what tomorrow is going to look like. We can control what we get to do today. And so for our kids too, of just once something's taken away from you, then you have a better respect and thought process to this could all go away in an instant. And so for us is that we've cherished that and we've really tried to get better. And I've really been so proud of our kids, and how they've handled it. And they have been extremely resilient from, and obviously a pandemic to social injustice to all of those things that directly affect their lives. And they just keep coming back day after day. And okay, let's get better on the basketball court.
You had a very young group for the most part last year, Lance. Just assessing things, how much maybe was last year, maybe just you don't look too much into last year and whatever the intangibles are, and they've had to really grow up, as you mentioned earlier, off the court, but now they're growing up on the court as well.
Yeah, and obviously there's no replacing maturity and experience. And just having that group who we had very little experience last year, and especially once we lost Bug, there was no one who had ever played in the ACC for any amount of minutes, and so it was a learning year, and that's the way these kids have handled that, and now they're a year older, a year wiser, and now as us as coaches, whenever we talk about that's not going to work in the ACC, they're like, oh yeah, you're right, and they know it, and just our practices have been so different, and now whenever you say something, they know what we're talking about, drills that we run that now everyone can jump right in, and we just start at a different level. And now how far they can go will be how many of those steps we can put together. But I've been really pleased with, they're just so much more competitive. Just our roster has really improved, and we've just got more options, and it's just a lot more competitive during practice.
Was there ever a feeling last year that I don't necessarily want to use the term hold back, but was there ever a feeling where you just had to kind of just stop at one point, and this year having that year under their belts as well as your belt, how has it helped just knowing, okay, this is good. I know that I'm going to get a lot out of this practice today. I know I can challenge these ladies today.
Yeah, and that was our whole, mission for the off season and into, once we were able to come back in the fall and really get rolling was, is that where last year we had to do so much teaching, and it was just trying to get them to understand from high school to college what this is all about. And this year it's been more on technique and things that a competitive nature is that we've started a step above, and now it's how we get them ready to compete right away. And that's been something that's been fun for us as coaches too, is just now you say something, light bulbs go on, and that's really to their credit of taking last year as a learning year, trusting the process, and really getting better every day. And that's what we've been doing. And I've been really proud of this group of just they're in a different mindset than they were. Their mental framework is so much different than it was a year ago.
When you look at getting the most out of your practices for the 2021 season, are you looking in specific areas based on last year? Are you basing it on personnel, or are you basing it maybe on what you're seeing in practice that needs refined and just literally taking it day by day?
Well, it's been a thought process, of as we've added new players, and again, my philosophy has always been I want to play at a faster pace, and so that's been obviously the end goal of just really being able to compete with those ACC teams, and now you've got to be bigger, stronger, faster, and now we've got a roster that's closer to that, and these kids have really or understanding of how you have to play. And so that's been our end result. But then also is taking it day by day and just like where are we at, what do we have to improve on, and it is still a skills game, and our skill level had to improve. And that's been one of the better things about COVID is we've had all of our coaches in house the whole time. So we haven't been split going recruiting and all of those different things. And so in terms of teaching skills and getting our kids to be better basketball players, that they hear the same voices every day. And so that's been a positive of this experience, is that we've been with our players every day and getting their skills better, which has improved our product.
The end of last season, you might go down as a great footnote, being the one that essentially retired Muffet McGraw. I'm sure that mentally feels good, but for such a young team on your end to get that win, regardless of what happened afterwards, just how much of a momentum does that give for such a large group of returners?
Yeah, and I really believe that those last four games, for us were you could see glimpses of what these kids could become in the future. And obviously, as we had preached all year long about, you don't know when, you don't know why, and so you just got to keep getting better. And then to be able to see that come to fruition, in that game, whenever I really thought we played our best basketball, and to be able to see Day, is really maximize the things that she's been able to do. And it was a really fun game. And I think there'll be some trivia questions sometime down the road of who was beat the legend Muffet McGraw for her last game. It's going to be me. It is, but again, it's that's why I love the ACC, is to have those coaches that are phenomenal coaches, play against the best, and then to see our kids compete at that level, and then they get a taste of it. You get a taste of it, and then you want more, and that's what they've really done this off season, of just wanting more, and now breaking it down to how do you do that consistently day after day.
I know you probably went through every single emotion last year, and really being in the ACC, just it exposes you if you don't do well as well. Just how was it emotionally for you, mentally for you, going through the trials and tribulations of an ACC schedule with such a new team, understanding that maybe there's going to be a little bit more mistakes, there's more things to fine tune than you'd expect, but also knowing that this could be something really special down the line if everybody plays their cards right.
Absolutely, and it was difficult, and again, for somebody who loves to win and has won my whole life, and that now every game you're coming in and you're going, "Whoo, here we go," and it's just that process is really difficult. But at the same time, we knew coming into Pitt that it was going to be a long-term process. Is that in order to do things the right way in this conference, you can't take shortcuts, and you've got to do it the right way. And so Heather, whenever I was hired here, knew that it was going to take time to turn the roster over and build a program that every year you have a chance to win at the highest level. And that's our goal. And we've got a better kids and better skill development that we're in a much better position. But again, you're playing against the best of the best, and it takes time. And we knew that. But again, whenever you're going through it, it's difficult. It's difficult to, go into those games and know that you can still play your best, and you might not be able to still pull it out. This year, I really believe that we've got more firepower, and, we've got more kids that can really help us compete at this level. We've got better versatility. And so I'm excited for these kids to get a chance to get on the floor and hopefully play.
Obviously, anytime you get a transfer waiver that goes through, you're almost on pins and needles, hoping for the best. And in a pandemic, you're really hoping for the best because you just don't know what the NCAA is thinking, just given the unprecedented times we're in. Just how was it just being able to smile amidst all this craziness, just knowing those transfer news kind of went your way? And how does everybody project?
Yeah, no, and that is, you never know. Anytime you bring a transfer in, and you want them to be able to be immersed in your program, and I think that really helps them. But for those kids in the year that they've had to experience, is to have that little bit of hope of, okay, now all this work is, I don't have to sit, I can be ready to join into that team and know that I'm going to be able to get on the court. And Jayla Everett and Destiny are really two great examples of two kids that will really help our program. Jayla, has come in and really changed everything that we do. She's a kid who can communicate, has a high basketball IQ, and gets it. She gets how hard you have to work and how hard you have to play, and she's been a huge part of our next development. And just in a practice setting, she's competitive, and I've really been pleased with how she's implemented herself into our core group.
Awesome. That's good news. And also on your end, just getting someone like that who challenges his team immediately. How tough, maybe in coach mode, is it? You're excited to see her play. You know she's going to have a role on the court, but you also had a lot of players that were used to a lot of roles last year, and you're going to have to manage that.
Absolutely, it's been fun, and even now, less than a week before our first game, I'm still tossing up who's going to start, how many minutes we're going to play, and all of those things, which is a great problem to have. And so now we've got choices and options, and so it's been fun and competitive, and those kids have really bought into that. And again, last year we had to play a lot of our kids a lot of minutes. This year that number can go down, and now it can be quality minutes. And that's what I'm really excited about, is having quality minutes over minutes. And so now we can look down and bring the next group, and they give you that, you don't lose quite that intensity, and then you bring the next wave of them, and it's really going to help the program.
You go down the list of returning players. You look at Gabby, who I'll be talking to in a little bit. You look at Rita. You look at Amber. You look at Amy. Even as Meany really popped off against Notre Dame. Just when you look at this returning class, just how excited are you to see that they kind of have their feet under them? And who amongst the returners do you feel has taken that next step?
Yeah, and again, the thing for me as a coach is, is we've got 8 to 9 players that are vying for minutes, and we've got some freshmen who are learning and growing, and that hopefully toward the later on that they'll be in that group as well. But for me as a coach to have that where it's not that huge drop off really helps me. But that freshman class, last year they've still got to be the core, and now with a year under their belt, and then with Kara and Gabby as our 2 seniors that I think will really help us and provide huge minutes for us. And but again, it's Day and Amy and AB and Rita that have to be that first core, and then you add Jayla and Destiny to that group, and Jayla will be in that mix of she's an all conference player. She's somebody who right away has the chance to her and Day give you an exciting backcourt that is that really gives us a 1-2 punch. That last year it was a one punch, and now teaching those kids to really how they play off each other and all of that thing. And I think we're going to shoot the basketball much better. Destiny and Gabby and Ty, one of our freshmen, can really shoot it well. Game as well, but our post game's really improved. So Rita's development is a huge key to our success.
When you address saying we're going to shoot the ball better, is that just based on having a year under the belt, having the mental wherewithal to maybe pass up a good shot for a greater shot? Is it what else do you think goes into just finding those better shots?
Um, well, part of it is been that they've been proving it every day in practice. Is that we are able to get better shots for each other. And last year I think so much of it was not understanding of how you got to get rid of the ball to use reverse the basketball, to use clock, to some of those things that these kids coming from high school, whenever they had to have the ball in their hands, um, uh, was is something that we've really worked on. But again, we've got added some players that can make shots, and that's a big piece of it. And then we've got some attackers that can turn down shots now to then get a better shot. And that's been our mantra and our mentality is we've got to be good together. And but it's really been fun to see in practice us have some kids that can really shoot the ball and make it. And last year I think we got a lot of shots. We didn't ever feel like we're going to make as many. Where now you're thinking, okay, now whenever you get that shot, you feel like as a coach it's going to go in, and so that's really helped us.
The freshmen are in a very, very unenviable position right now, having to learn in a pandemic when practice the next day is not necessarily guaranteed. A game is not necessarily guaranteed. Just how do you feel your freshmen have responded to the challenges and circumstances, and how have your 4 freshmen been coming along?
um, uh, yeah, you recruit them so hard, and you talk about the college experience and what that's going to be like and how it's going to look, and then for this group to none of that happen, and that every bit of their experience has been, is completely different, and that's what we always talk to them all the time. Of this group has been so adaptable and resilient in their approach to how they're going to view college. Because we were talking to them just the other day on is that usually you go to classes and you meet different people in your college group and your student body, and everything's virtual. And so they have met the team and been around the team, but no one else. And it's just for me as a dad, and every bit of I'm just going, how difficult you send your kids off to college, and then now they are in that apartment, and you come to the Pete to practice with that group, go back to your part, and how isolating and lonely that is. And so we've really tried to, as best we can, to provide that help for them. But again, it's a completely different world, and I've been so proud of this group because they've really bonded together, and kids that didn't know each other that now that they know each other, and so that has been something I've been so proud of them. And then of course that transition from high school to college, and especially ACC basketball, is a whole different world. and and just the speed, the tempo. Tracy, our highest ranked recruit, came off of a knee injury, and so she's had to battle not only COVID to a new coming away from home, plus rehabbing that knee back. And so her within the last 2 weeks has really finally started to, come around and get to full strength. And, and so each of them, I think that's been the biggest challenge of just that tempo, the speed. Taisha, our freshman from Canada, has probably made the biggest impact so far. She's a long 6 foot guard that will play some 3-4 for us, but shoots the ball extremely well. And but just her length and all that's really of where we need to go as a program. And so I think right away she's going to help us and really challenge for minutes. And then I think the rest of them are just really learning and growing. And but here within the last 2 weeks, it's been fun to see them really compete against that top group.
When you establish a defensive identity, what are you personally looking for? And from the transition to 1920 to 2021, how close has it been? And maybe how tough is it given COVID and given the fluctual nature of the schedule, just trying to figure out teams, let alone figure out how many defenses you're going to go with?
Absolutely. And again, it's still that same philosophy where last year we were teaching the very basics, and it took us a long time to try to get to that point. We probably threw too much at them early, where we even needed to be even more simple. Where this year is that, again, just starting at a different spot, and now being able to build off of that. These kids, now we say things and they get it. And so we want to be a team that's aggressive on the defensive end, and really be able to keep the offense off balance as much as we can. We think we've got better speed, better length than we had last season. And but now they've got to create a little bit of havoc on that defensive end, which will be fun to be able to watch. And I think it's an exciting game, and the kids really buy into it. Terry Mitchell, who's she's a genius, mastermind of basketball, and she has a zone defense that we're going to use some too. And I think that's really added a different concept to the way we play. And so between our man-to-man and then our zone, and being able to trap people and go get them, and so it's gonna be fun. Our kids have really bought into it, and I think they react so much better than we did a year ago. As that recover piece has really been fun to watch.
I say this to all of the coaches across the country that I talk to. Just, I'm surprised any of you have any hair left just trying to figure out any semblance of a schedule. There it is. Just figuring out any semblance of a schedule. Just how many drafts of a schedule have you had, and just how stressful has it been just trying to secure tomorrow for your ladies?
Absolutely, and that's been obviously one of our major concerns. And even because whenever they considered bubbles to this many ACC games, do we go away and get 6 ACC games altogether? Do we just do ACC? Do we do non-conference? It's been, and then now as it's getting closer of now as some states start shutting down, what does that protocol look like? How do you get somebody that's traveling to Michigan now? Can they stop over and play us? No. Now you got to go, and so it's really been extremely difficult to find teams that, obviously safety is our number one concern, and that who's going through the protocol that we need. And that's why we're taking on a robust ACC schedule, because all of us will be similar in a lot of ways of how we attack the COVID related issues. But that non-conference of having some, and usually by now we would have had 2 exhibition games or a closed scrimmage, and now we've been playing against ourselves every day. And because even not using scout team, and just it's been us. And so now as we look forward to Wednesday of finally playing somebody new, but again, you really don't know as a coach what that final product's going to look like until we're able to turn the lights on and play. But the schedule piece has been just crazy. And and even now as we go through, and and it still may change, is that we're looking at changing a couple of games already. And just, okay, who can play on this day? Let's go play.
You do have a finite first opponent, George Mason. Just how is it as a coach, just actually getting to potentially scout for somebody, getting to potentially prepare for an opponent that you, to a degree, know you do have common opponent given the A10 background?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just for our kids of the fatigue of what this season and year has already looked like, to finally see a little bit of glimmer of hope and light down the way of going, okay, Wednesday we get to play. And I think for them, they're excited. They're ready to get out there and put on the uniforms for the first time and really have a taste of playing someone else. And that obviously takes, your team to that next level, and where we've been practice, and now you have 3 days prep before our first game, and that's really for us of as coaches as well, of finally seeing someone else and getting the chance to go out there and play.
Obviously, when you come to a schedule, you want to have some locality to it if you can. Just if you could speak to the availability, trying to call teams, whether it's Penn State, whether it's West Virginia, Duquesne, Cleveland State, Youngstown State, which I know just shut down. Just how are those conversations, and how much are you in favor of trying to maintain locality and proximity whenever possible?
Yeah, we went into it again knowing that we're going to go 20 ACC games, and so we wanted, again, as few of possible games, but also as with our final schedule, is that we were not going to play any games during finals. So really, from once they said the 25th is the first day that we can open and play, the number of dates that we had available to actually play was very limited. And so now it became not only proximity and who can play, but then it was when. Is that how do we schedule games in there that, number one, is safe, and then number two is that they can play us on this certain date, because we had about 6 dates that were all that we could play before opening ACC on December the 10th. And so it really became a matter of, with our finals, we wanted our kids to be able to have the time they needed to do that, and not have games. It became really limited. And then you're looking at now every Tuesday and Sunday playing, I mean, Thursday and Sunday playing ACC games, that now it's on that. And so it was very limited on the number of days that we had that we could actually put games in. And then at the same time of not just overloading them and doing that. So it became a chess match in a lot of ways, of just who can play, how do we get games in here that can play on these 6 days, and then now it goes to ACC.
Get you out of here on this one, Lance. Just for the fans that are able to attend at the Peterson Event Center this season, and from the fans that are watching or listening from afar, what do you want them to know about what to expect from your team?
Well, I'm so excited that hopefully we can get some fans in, and really they can have a chance to watch these young ladies play, and they've been working extremely hard, and I think it's going to be an exciting year, an exciting brand of basketball. You're going to see glimpses of kids that are really doing great things on the basketball court. They love to play together. They're going to play hard and fast and discipline. That's been one of our major things, is that we've got to be a disciplined basketball team. And so I'm excited to put that product out there and allow people to be able to see it, whether it's virtually, whether they're able to come and sit in those pods of four and and do some of that stuff that it'll look different. But once you watch the actual plays on the court, it's going to be great basketball.
Pitt opens up its season Wednesday at noon against George Mason, the first of three non-conference home games announced at this point in time. Lance, best wishes for health and luck on the court and off the court this season, and we'll catch up with you along the way.
Thank you so much, Zach. Appreciate you guys. Held to Pitt.